At the age of 16, Killian was a victim of sexual assault, but she decided not to let that define her and that she would use her experience to empower other victims. Today, she is attending college, she is a marathon runner, is studying to get her health coach certification, and this summer is going on a mission trip to Uganda for children's education, and she's here with us right now. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I fell in love with Killian through our health coach certification at IIN, and her story just really amazed me because you're such an inspiring young woman who really went through a hard time, but you would never know. You know, going back to that night, when you woke up the next day, what was the first thing that went through your head?
The first thing that I think hit me was that I've always been the kind of person to, one foot in front of the other, and that I had to keep doing what I've been doing all along, and that's just to, make it through and keep going.
Just keep going. And I always think, who's that first person that I would turn to? And so how did you seek help right away? Who was that first person you confided in?
The first person that I had ever confided in was my best friend, and she couldn't believe it when I told her, and it definitely took her a little bit of time to let it sink in, as I did also. I didn't say anything to anyone for months and months, and running was really my savior and my best friend, and that was the only thing that would help.
I probably released the pain so easily.
Absolutely.
So months and months later, when you finally told your parents and you decided to go to the authorities, what happened next?
After that, it was very, you think that they would help, and you think that they are only on your side and only there for your support. And I realized after a little bit of time that it took over way too much of my life, and I decided to actually drop any investigation, any look into who did this, and it was taking way too much time out of my life, and I realized that this is doing more harm than good.
Now, Kristen, is that something that you hear regularly or more often, that you would think that going to the authorities would help you, but in return it makes you more frustrated?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of really key points here, and number one is that the large majority of people do not disclose right away for a number of different reasons, whether that's embarrassment, shame, not really even knowing that a rape has occurred, or feeling like people are going to respond to them a certain way. And then, yes, once a disclosure has been made, often feeling like the focus from law enforcement is on something that they may or may not have done, and ends up feeling re-victimizing.
And what's that process with yourself that you have to go through, because you have to process what had happened, not necessarily talking about it with other people, but how did you cope with your own being?
Day-to-day basis, I guess the first couple of weeks I really woke up and you take a deep breath and you say, this is what it is, and that's what happened, and the negative light has to go away at some point in time. And I was lucky enough, I have great family and great friends who were definitely really supportive, and without even knowing it. I'm not one to show a sign of struggle at all, so any time that there was any sense of it, I had amazing people there to pick me back up.
And I think having that support system is so key. And also you have so many incredible other adventures going on in your life right now, yes, that take away from what had happened in the past.
Absolutely.
But what are your words of wisdom to other young girls?
Really, everyone has some kind of word that they can find a sense to define themselves. Mine would definitely be resilience. That is my favorite word. I forget even the first time that I heard it, I didn't even know what it meant. And it was a psychologist who had told me, she said, after hearing my story, she said, you are truly resilient. And that word stuck ever since. And so to anyone who would feel ashamed or doesn't feel strong or feels like they can't get through it, they have to know that they are really strong, and they might not know it yet, but they have to find that something that makes them feel that way.
Well, I feel so honored that you were comfortable enough to share your story with me today and with Kristen, and you are going so far in life, lady. I mean, everybody check this young girl out. All of her links are on chelseakrost.com. She has so many incredible things going on. Thank you so much for being here. And coming up next, Tracy and Charlie are back to teach us how to protect yourself in several situations. You don't want to miss this. Hey everyone, we're back with Tracy and Charlie from Simple Self-Defense for Women, and we're going to go through some moves of how to defend ourselves in case of an attack.
Right.
All right, what's our first move?
Okay, the first one's not so much an attack as maybe you're out and it's not life-threatening, but maybe you're uncomfortable, you're on a date, you know, or maybe you're with Uncle Bob at the family gathering, you know, it's maybe a little too touchy-feely. So let's just say he's putting his arm around you and you're like, you know, could you take your arm off of me? I've had enough, you know, stop. So what you're going to do, Chelsea, you're going to imagine Charlie wearing a bra, which he's not, but right about his seam of his shirt, you're going to take your finger, kind of like a girly fist, and you're going to push through, and you're going to say something, whatever you want to say to him.
Back off.
Right, something a little colorful, something just to get him away from you, but it kind of gets the point. And think about the women with nails. I mean, that hurts, right?
Exactly. I mean, because I was demonstrating it on myself earlier, and it's really painful.
Yeah,
not a big move, but so important because I've been in many situations where I just need to get the person off of me, and I don't know what to do.
Yep, and that gets the point across.
And it's so simple. Fist, nail, into the bra area, and push.
Right.
So simple.
Yep, that works. Okay, now the next one might happen. This is an attempted kidnapping. This is a much more serious situation. Somebody's going to grab you by the arm. It could be a child. It could be a, you know, boyfriend-girlfriend situation. But the most common way that they're going to grab you is by the arm because they want to pull you into a vehicle or pull you into an elevator. So we showed you how to get away earlier. Can you just go ahead and show them, and then we're going to explain what you did.
Step back and away.
Now, hopefully what's going to happen when we showed you, but what happened here is your natural reaction normally is to pull, right? And you can't get out. So what you're going to do instead is you're fighting just one finger because the way he's holding you, because you're going to bring your arm up through that gap, and he can't hold on. So with you, and especially being petite, you want to do that, and you're going to take a step at the same time with the same leg and turn, and you're going to escape.
Run the opposite direction.
Exactly. Hopefully he'll trip and he'll fall because he's not expecting you to go. You've got the element of surprise on your side.
And all of these moves set you up so that you can run in the opposite direction.
And then when you're teaching children at home, which we'd like you to do, call this robot.
Right.
Kids love robot. It's easy for them to remember. It's fun, and when you're teaching them like that, they get it.
And people might say, what happens if they grab you a different way? If their thumb's down.
Right. Same thing. Follow his thumb.
And it's down.
Yep.
And back.
Right.
Very simple.
Okay, now you're going to go home. We want everybody in the audience to try this, right? Because you want to make sure they know what to do. So I'm going to have Charlie grab you again, but I'm going to give you a little tip here, Chelsea. So when you're going to just, you know, okay. So when Charlie grabs you this time, okay? So you
and
know
he's
what?
not letting me go.
Right. Right? Okay, because guys are super macho, right? They don't, I'm so glad somebody else did that. Because guys are so super macho. When you go home to try this, they're going to go, she's not getting out. So that extra little tap just breaks their concentration. You could give them a little tap in the leg or a tap in the belly too, and that would work
I could totally see my brother going, you are not getting out of
there
this
you go.
grip.
There you go.
And that little element of surprise will totally catch them off guard.
It's fun. So.
And I think that that's a huge factor in simple self-defense moves as well.
Right.
A lot of the attackers are not expecting you to know what to do to escape.
Exactly, and that's the point of this. We want all women to know what to do so they don't have to be the victim of an attack.
Absolutely. Now this next one is a little gruesome, a little graphic, however, so important.
So important. So Chelsea, we've got to ask you to lay down on this one. So this, what would happen here is if Chelsea was going to be the victim of a sexual assault, her hands would most likely be pinned over her head. So she doesn't have a way to fight. So what we're going to ask her to do is lift one leg up, either leg, shift her weight a little bit, and right in the middle of Charlie's thigh, she's going to push as hard as she can. Right? And it throws him. That was great, Charlie.
And he totally flipped over.
He totally flipped off because your legs are super strong. And what's happening is Chelsea's just lifting her leg up slightly, setting it right in the middle of his thigh. And Charlie's like a tripod. So as soon as you take the weight off of his hands and his leg, he's got a tip. He doesn't have it anymore. So he rolls away. And if this is happening outside, we're hoping that he's going to fall and smack his head on something. If it's happening inside, we're hoping that he's going to be hitting his head on the nightstand or the windowsill.
And it's amazing that that leg move is so powerful enough to be able to get you out of that move.
Most women have incredibly strong legs anyway. It's very powerful, and they just fly right off because, again, they're not expecting it.
Right. Now, you're educating people on simple self-defense moves, but if that freeze or flight thing happens to you and you're, standing there, how do you escape that mentality and instead allow yourself to know what to do?
Well, that's why we want you to know in advance. We want women to learn these things. We don't teach a lot of moves. We keep it very simple. So there's a few moves that you can learn. You practice them, and then you're not going to be freezing up. You may hesitate for a minute like you did on the video clip,
right,
but then you'll go, I know how to do that.
And do you advise people to practice?
Absolutely, and women have a lot of fun practicing. They do. It's a good thing to do, and you'll practice it a couple times. Make sure you know what to do it. Refresh yourself.
And I think it's so empowering knowing what to do in a scary situation like this, that maybe once you practice a little bit these moves, if that ever happens to you, you'll be more prepared with what to do.
And we give you a couple of different things that you can do when we're talking to people. We give you, if the first one doesn't work, maybe it's slipped out of your mind, you go right to the next one and the next one works. So there's multiple ways that you can escape.
And how important is being verbal as well as being physical?
Women are very verbal, you know that. And Charlie's laughing. But that's what happens. I mean, people will say yell, scream, fight. We don't give you a script. We don't want you to have to remember it. Whatever you feel comfortable saying, that's what you want to do.
And I love learning these moves so much that we're actually going to do a few more moves in web exclusives. So tune in to the website chelseakrost.com to see more exclusives with Tracy and Charlie. Thank you to all my guests. To find out more about today's show, go to our website. Keep sending me pictures and messages via social media, and be sure to check out the resumebear.com quick tip of the week. Next week, don't miss it, because we're getting ready for summer with the experts from Self Magazine. Have a great night, everyone.